Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. This is the first Great Global Nurdle Hunt series. Today we'll be talking about how to take part and make an impact in this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt. So just to quickly introduce everyone who will be taking part today, my name is Jamie Clarkson. I'm a project officer here at FIDRA and I work on our Great Nurdle Hunt project. Also joined by Megan Curtin, who's Senior Project Officer here at FIDRA and works on the Great Nurdle Hunt as well. We're also joined by Sam from the Pacific Ocean Litter Project, who will be our guest speaker today. And just to run through today's agenda, we'll be starting off with myself going through what are nurdles and what is nurdle pollution for those of you unfamiliar or maybe new to nurdle pollution. Then we'll be hearing from Megan to discuss how to take part and make an impact in this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt. We'll then be hearing from our guest speaker, and then we'll be moving on to our resources and information section, where we'll be showing you some of the places you can find some information and bits to help you take part before moving into the Q&A session. So like I said, if you have any questions during the webinar, please put them into the chat and we'll be able to come to them in the Q&A session at the end. So without further ado, we'll get going. So as I said, my name is Jamie Clarkson. I'm a project officer here at FIDRA and I work on our Great Nurdle Hunt project. And today I'm going to be taking us through what are nurdles and what is nurdle pollution. So first of all, what is a nurdle? Nurdles are primary microplastics. They're approximately 5 millimeters in diameter, or about the size of a lentil. And they come in a variety of shapes and colors. And you can see some of those in that little image at the top there. And nurdles are lightweight, so they can easily be blown by wind, and they also float in water. And nurdles are the industrial feedstock which is used to make almost all plastic products. So nurdles are shipped around the world and they are melted down and then formed into everything from plastic bottles to washing machine parts and car parts and anything else in between. So how do nurdles enter the environment? So nurdles spill into the environment due to mismanagement throughout the global plastic pellet supply chain. This includes during nurdle production, during transport on land, for example by rail or by road, transport at sea, during shipping, during the conversion of plastic pellets into plastic products in industrial sites, and during recycling of plastics into nurdles. The result of this is up to 445,000 tonnes of nurdles are lost to the environment globally each year. This makes nurdles the second largest source of primary plastic pollution globally. And to put that into perspective, each year enough nurdles spill into the environment to cover an area the size of Barcelona. Once in the environment, nurdles are highly mobile and extremely difficult to remove. But 95% of nurdle loss is preventable. And here are just a few images of nurdle pollution. As you can see, there is quite a range of different shapes and colours and sizes of nurdles. Once they've been in the environment for a while, they can age and they can yellow, they start to fragment and become more rounded, as you can see there. But it's important as well to know that nurdle pollution isn't just, as I said, it's not just a marine issue, but it's also a terrestrial issue. So as well as nurdles being found along coastlines and the shorelines, it can also be found, for example, around lakes. For example, the Great Lakes in Canada and Lake Geneva, there's been nurdles found there, on rivers, near industrial sites, along train lines. So it's really not just a maritime pollution issue, it's a terrestrial issue as well. So what are the impacts of nurdle pollution? Over time in the environment, nurdles will fragment and release smaller and smaller fragments of plastics into the environment, which can subsequently enter into the food chain. Harmful chemicals present in the nurdles themselves will also leach out into the environment over time, for example, plasticizers and flame retardants. While harmful chemicals already in the environment can adsorb onto the surface of nurdles, and we've seen research which has found, for example, POPs on the surfaces of nurdles. Harmful bacteria and pathogens such as E. coli can also accumulate on the surface of the nurdles in the environment, and this leads to a toxic cocktail being created on the surface of the nurdles while also leaching harmful chemicals into the environment. And so what are the risks to wildlife? So over 220 marine species have been found to ingest plastics, and this includes nurdles, which have been identified in puffins, turtles, fish, and more. Nurdles can be easily mistaken for food by wildlife, and they quite closely resemble fish eggs. And this especially impacts fish and birds as well. Once ingested, nurdles can lead to organ damage, and they can also give the animals a false sense of fullness, leading to starvation. This also introduces microplastics and harmful chemicals into the food chain. There's also indirect impacts of nurdle pollution. So one of them, for example, is nurdle pollution can impact the temperatures of sand on beaches, which can have consequences for turtle eggs and turtle nesting. We also have seen, following nurdle spills, that fish stocks can be greatly impacted, and this can then impact communities who are reliant on those fish stocks for their livelihoods, as well as impacting other industries such as tourism. So it really is a wide-ranging impact from nurdle pollution. And here are just a few images of instances where nurdles have been found alongside wildlife. And nurdles have been identified in protected areas around the world, from including Mexico, the UK, and India, as well as globally important biodiversity hotspots, for example, the Galapagos Islands. So nowhere is safe from nurdle pollution. Nurdle pollution is a global issue. And as I've said before, it can come from sources on land and at sea. This image shows that in the red, these countries who do not even produce nurdles are still at risk of nurdle pollution. And they're still vulnerable to this due to the scale of the global plastic pellet supply chain and the instances of mismanagement throughout it. But also, once in the environment, nurdles are highly mobile, and nurdle pollution is transboundary. So even those who do not produce nurdles can still be impacted due to the transboundary nature of nurdle pollution. With plastic pollution on the rise, with plastic production, on the rise, there is increased chances that instances of nurdle pollution could occur. And often we've seen evidence of these occurring on major shipping routes, for example, and really illustrating that nowhere is safe from nurdle pollution. As I've said, there's been instances of major spills of nurdles, and in 2025, there's already been 2 major instances. So I just want to quickly highlight those here as well. So in March 2025, there was a collision between 2 ships off the east coast of England, and this resulted in millions of nurdles spilling into the North Sea. In the following days, nurdles began to wash up along England's east coast, particularly impacting internationally important conservation areas and an area known as the Wash, which is home to a wide range of wetland and bird life. Over the course of the cleanup response to this, over 10,000 kilograms of plastic were recovered from the beaches. However, more as normal nurdles continue to wash up and will likely stay in the environment for many years to come, impacting the area and posing a threat to the wildlife. Then, only 2 months later, in May 2025, we saw a major nurdle spill occur in India. This was following the sinking of the container ship MSC Elsa 3 off India's west coast. Following the sinking, millions of pellets washed up on the beaches of the Indian state of Kerala, greatly impacting local communities, particularly the fishing communities reliant on the fish stocks in the area. Over the following days and weeks, those nurdles from the initial spill spread far and wide, with nurdles arising and washing up on further areas of the Indian coastline, but also spreading to Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka was already being significantly impacted by nodal pollution following the sinking of Express Pearl in 2021, and this has been regarded as the worst nodal disaster recorded, and saw 1,600 tons of nodals lost into the environment. So it really shows that even Sri Lanka, who were impacted previously by nodal pollution, are not safe from further impacts due to other spills. And it's also worth noting that both these spills happened along major supply routes which passed through these areas. Yeah, and so with that, I'm going to now hand on to my colleague here, Megan Curtin, to take you through how to take part in this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt.
Yeah, so thanks, Jamie, and hello, everyone. Yeah, as Jamie mentioned, I'm Megan Curtin, Senior Project Officer at FIDRA. And yes, I'm going to take you through our project, the Great Global Nurdle Hunt, and how you can take part this year. So Jamie gave you an excellent overview of why nurdles are bad, but what can we do about them? So at FIDRA, we have our Great Nurdle Hunt project, which is our global citizen science project, collecting data of nurdle pollution from all around the world. So basically building evidence of this issue. So our Great Global Nurdle Hunt is our annual citizen science event where we ask organisations, communities and individuals to organise nurdle hunts all over the world to draw attention to this issue and collect a snapshot of data on the global plastic pellet pollution. So this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt will take place across the world between the 1st and the 31st of October. And the crucial data gathered by our nurdle hunters will help highlight the scale of the problem to decision makers worldwide. And it really just strengthens calls for action to tackle this significant source of global microplastic pollution. So participating is really easy. You don't need any special equipment and anyone can join in. I will be providing some tips on how to look for nurdles in the coming slides. But yeah, since its launch, we've had many global different events, working with thousands of organisations all across the globe. I think since 2013, we've had over 20,000 volunteers take part in a nurdle hunt, which is absolutely amazing. And so the images on the slide there are just showing some of our volunteer nurdle hunters from around the world. And as you can see, we've even had a nurdle hunt done in Antarctica, which is incredible. So this is our Great Nurdle Hunt map, where basically your data gets submitted to. And as you can see, it highlights nurdle pollution from across the world. So each pin represents one nurdle hunt, and the different colours represent how many nurdles were found in that particular area. And over the years, as we've gathered more data, today we've had over 8,000 nurdle hunts covering 7 continents and many, many different countries surveyed worldwide. So as we gather more data, we are learning more about nurdle pollution, and we're finding some scary statistics. So for example, nurdles have been found on the coastline of every European country monitored. So yeah, it just goes to show that, you know, as Jamie alluded to earlier, nowhere is safe from nurdle pollution. So how does your data make an impact? So far the impact of the nurdle hunt has gone much further than the beach. Here at FIDRA, we have been sharing the results with international decision makers. We were able to talk about nurdles to international decision makers at COP26 when it was here in Scotland a few years ago. And we have used this data to create primers for the international delegates that were involved in the United Nations negotiations for a global plastics treaty in recent years, highlighting why nurdles must be included in the global plastics treaty. But we've also presented the results at many different international forums. We've shared this data with different scientists and other people wanting to do studies. And it has generated real impact. So just this week, the EU Council adopted the regulation proposed on preventing the loss of plastic pellets into the environment. And this data helped really make the case for this regulation, showing how much nurdle pollution there was in Europe. And there have been many, many more examples where we have shared data with organisations like yourselves, and they've taken it to their local governments to show that it's an issue too. So how can you take part in this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt? So it's really, really easy. And if you remember just one thing from today's presentation, remember this slide because it's the easy steps of how to take part. Basically, all you have to do is head to a chosen location anytime in October, count the number of nurdles you find, record the number of people hunting, record how long you were hunting for, and we just ask for a minimum of 10 minutes that you would spend looking. And then you can submit your data at our website or using our new app, which I'm going to talk you through as well in a second. And it's really great if you submit photos as well of nurdle pollution. As Jamie showed on his previous slides, those photos of nurdle pollution are really, really impactful and help us tell the story. And please do remember to still submit your data even if you don't find any nurdles, because this is also important information for us to know. So just a few tips for nurdle hunting if it is new to you or you need a refresher. So as Jamie did say, nurdles can be found, in a lot of places. They are usually easiest to find on sandy beaches though, but that's not to say that they won't be on pebbly beaches or by a river or an inland area near a train line. But this is just usually the best place to look for them. And usually on the beach, the tide line is the best place to start. Nurdles often get trapped in the debris that the tide brings in. So that's usually where is the best place to start. But you can also look in other areas in the beach, such as the vegetation area. So nurdles are very light and can be blown by winds to the back of beaches or the sides of riverbanks, and they can often get caught in the vegetation that's there at the back of the beach. And nurdles can also be sort of trapped amongst other bits of bigger plastic that can wash up on the beach as well. So please do be safe when choosing your location to nurdle hunt. Please do check local tides and things like that. It's usually best to nurdle hunt just after high tide, but please make sure that the area that you choose is safe and accessible, and always check the weather. And so just to highlight as well for this survey, you only have to count the number of nurdles that you find. You don't actually have to collect the nurdles if you don't want to, but we understand that many of you will want to remove the nurdles from the environment, especially if you're doing your nurdle hunt alongside a beach clean, for example, which many of you do. So we just want to remind you that nurdles can absorb toxic pollutants from the ocean. If you are collecting and removing the nurdles, we just recommend using gloves and or tweezers to remove the nurdles, and to wash your hands after touching nurdles or any other marine litter. And if you do collect nurdles, we have some advice in our participant packs and on our website and on our app of what you can do with them after. A good tip for collecting nurdles is to use things like a sieve to sieve through the sand to find nurdles. And another good tip is if you've come across an area with lots of nurdles in debris, you can fill up a bucket of water, shove in the sediment in the nurdles there, and the nurdles should float to the top. And I just wanted to highlight this year that this year's event, we're focusing on how nodal pollution threatens wildlife and ecosystems. So it'd be great if this year you can keep this in mind whilst nodal hunting. So basically, if you come across any images of wildlife next to nurdles or important ecosystems with nodal pollution, we'd love to receive photos of those. If it's possible for you to carry out a nodal hunt in a locally protected area or an area with a quite unique habitat like mangroves, that would also be amazing. And if you could just, document any important plants, insects, or animals near nodal hotspots, that would also be really appreciated. Because even one nodal amongst any sort of wildlife like this can really tell such a powerful story. And the images on the right are just some that we've received already from our nodal hunters. And yes, finally, as mentioned this year, we're coinciding the launch of our Nurdle Hunt event with the launch of our new app, which is very exciting. So the Great Nurdle Hunt app will be available to download in app stores next week. So basically, I'm going to talk you through, well, give you a bit of a sneak preview of what the app can offer. So it has all the functionality you will need to do a nodal hunt. So you can start a nodal hunt using the app. So basically, you can do a nodal hunt with the app, and the app has some really great features to help you do that. There's handy features like a timer and a counter for counting the nurdles. But also, if you prefer to do your nodal hunt the classic old-fashioned way with pens and paper, you can come to the Nurdle Hunt app after that and submit your data in the app. And what's really great about the app is that it saves all the information locally. So even if you're somewhere quite remote and don't have phone signal, you can submit your data, and then the next time you're connected to internet connection, it will automatically upload. And within the app, there are other information pages, which will give you everything you need to know for how to look for nurdles, how to stay safe. There's a video guide in there as well on how to nurdle hunt. The Nurdle Hunt map is embedded in the app as well, so you can explore where people have found nurdles around you. And initially, we will launch the app in 6 languages, so English, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, French, Arabic, and Hindi. And we will hopefully be adding more languages in the near future at some point. And that is everything from me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Megan. We'll now be hearing from our guest speaker. So I'd like to introduce Suzanne from Pacific Ocean Litter Youth Project, who are based in Fiji.
Good evening, everyone from Fiji. It's about 8:57 p.m. here, and sorry for the delay in jumping on the call. I had a bit of issues, so I was standing outside with my phone trying to connect to the Zoom meeting. But yeah, thank you very much, Jamie and the team, for allowing me to present just a bit about our experiences here in Fiji on nurdles. And so this is just the insights from our group called the Pacific Ocean Litter Youth Project. Next slide, please. So just be talking about what is polyp, nurdle pollution in Paradise, and the different methods we've used since we started, and how we use it in our work. Next slide, please. So Polyp is a youth group. Polyp is a youth group based out in the capital of Fiji, in Suva City. We are a group of students, staff of the University of the South Pacific, who were looking to do more than just cleanup campaigns. And we decided to do a bit of coastal litter assessments just near our university foreshore, like a little beach there. And so we've been doing that since 2021. And apart from that, a bit of public cleanup campaigns around Fiji. Next slide, please. And the main focus that we wanted to start on was mainly the macroplastics. There was no, we didn't have nurdles in mind when we started our work. It was purely focused on the macroplastics and whatever items we were finding within our transact area. And pictured there is our main study site, which is 100 meter by 1 meter transact, which we ran twice a week since 2021 to 2022. Next slide, please. And so when we started out our litter surveys, we would use the OSPA method to categorize our waste, running a 100 meter by 1 meter transact, as I've mentioned, along the high tide mark, doing litter patrols twice a week, and sorting and weighing the rubbish on one day of the week. And then from there, we'd set aside like colorful marine litter to use for our artivism workshops. Next slide, please. And what we noticed, this was a really funny story which we had posted on our Instagram, was that it was almost 1 year of collecting rubbish within that study site. We didn't find any nurdles until it was just the day before we hit 1 year. So on the day prior to marking 1 year of our group being formed, then we finally found nurdles, which was exciting as well, because most of our volunteers, they had never seen it in person. They would just see it in their lecture classes or see it on Instagram and on social media, but never finding it out in public. So this was a very exciting time for us, although sad, but exciting to finally find some nurdles in our study site. Next slide, please. And as the years went on, we continued to find nurdles within our study site and outside the campus and in public, and it got a lot of interest from all the different groups that we met, who always were mistaking the nurdles for styrofoam, or they would ignore it as just another like sediment kind of items. And so that was a way that we could use it to create awareness with different workshops we had, different schools we visited, or villages and communities, to teach them about the impacts of microplastics and nurdles to the marine environment and to their livelihoods as well. Next slide, please. And how we use nurdles in our work, we don't like to we'd like to keep the nurdles for our outreach activities and for our artivism activities. So they are like the specialty plastics that we keep aside for either workshops. We keep it in a glass jar or bottle, and we ask people, do you know what this is? It's like a conversation starter for us. Do you know what this is? Do you know how it affects marine life? And it gets people interested in joining us for cleanup campaigns and nurdle hunting as well. Next slide, please. And so what we will continue to do is continue with our data collection and nurdle hunting and uploading onto the database, the global database that's provided online. and expand the range and scope of our data collection to other islands around Fiji and the Pacific. We continue to create spaces for talanoa or storytelling with youth, school students, rural communities to spread the message of creating a clean Pacific for our future generation. And we also hope to have art exhibitions for all of the marine debris artworks that we create. I think that's my final slide. I hope I didn't take too much of your time, but my email is there. If any of you have any further questions for us, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that, Suzanne. That was a great presentation, and thank you for sharing your experience of nurdle pollution and how you're using it in your work. That was really insightful. So first of all, the best place to get information to take part in this year's Great Global Nurdle Hunt is our resource packs. And these are available on our website on the link at the bottom of the screen there, but you can also find them by going to nurdlehunt.org.uk. And these packs have everything that you'll need to take part. So they include a brief on the event, they include how to take part, they have social media packs to help you promote it and assets you can use in your promotion if you're organising your own nurdle hunt, and you can use them to help promote your hunt. And this also includes in there tips for nurdle hunting, press releases, ID charts, and all sorts of useful resources to help you sort out and organise your own hunt. As I say in there, we also have our nurdle ID charts. These are a great resource that can just be printed out. They have, as you can see on this side, different images to help you identify nurdles. As we've said, they come in different shapes and sizes. And it also shows you some of the things that you might find while you're out nurdle hunting, but aren't nurdles. So some common things which are also interesting and worth noting, but aren't nurdles. We also have on the other side a record sheet, so you can keep track of your nurdles while you're out nurdle hunting and then add it to the website when you get back. We also have our media library available using the link below. You can see at the bottom there. This is full of images of nurdles and nurdle pollution that have been kindly submitted to us by nurdle hunters over the years, as well as infographics and other resources to help with explaining nurdle pollution and raising awareness. You're welcome to use these as well, just credited as specified on the images. And you can use these in your social media posts or promoting your own hunts or in your own work on nurdle pollution if you decide to take it further. As I say, we have a couple of websites for this. We have our Great Nurdle Hunt website, which is where you can see the nurdle map, which you've seen some images of, and you can also submit your results. On here, we also have some more information on taking part and just anything else you'd need to get involved this October. If you'd like to go a bit more in depth on nurdles, we also have an information hub, which has a lot of information to do with policy work, evidence and innovation, engagement, education, and is a really good resource for if you would like to learn a bit more about the in-depth of solutions and the issue of nurdle pollution. We have some great reports on there as well, so please do get in touch with us if you'd like to discuss any of that further. And of course, you can also follow us on social media. We're on a lot of all the platforms, I think. I lose track. But please follow us on there, and it helps you to keep up to date as the nurdle hunt continues through October. And then as we come into November, there'll also be reports and more webinars. So please do follow those to keep up to date what's going on. And also be sure to tag us as well if you do any social media posts, and we can help with sharing your hunt or your finds and helping raise awareness. Once again, just mention as well, the app will be coming out, so really worth checking that out when it's available, and it'll hopefully be a really useful tool for you and your volunteers in taking part. But with that, I will bring this to a close. Thank you very much for Suzanne for a great presentation, for joining us on her evening. And thank you for all the participants for joining us for today's webinar. And we hope you'll be able to take part this October in the Great Global Nurdle Hunt. And we look forward to hearing how your hunts go.